Okay, with no further ado, it is my distinct pleasure to introduce Ms. Dana Schultz. She is the Education Outreach Coordinator at Pittsburgh Technical College. Has been there for some time, and before that, she was the Education Coordinator at Animal Friends Incorporated, which was actually a Future Makers presenter. Excuse me, she was an experienced program coordinator with her specific skills in writing, editing, and web development, but also works heavily in professional development for educators. So education is her jam, just like it is ours. And we are very excited to have her. So if you could please unmute at the very least and give a nice warm welcome to Ms. Dana Schultz. Yay!
Hello.
Hello, everybody. I'm very pleased to be here with all of you, and thank you for taking time after a long day of school, either in person or remotely, for being here. I surely do appreciate it. I am a former classroom teacher. I taught at both the middle school and high school levels, so I really enjoy working with teenagers, and I'm so pleased to be here this afternoon with all of you. So that I could get to know you a little bit, if you'd be willing to introduce yourself just by saying what grade you're in and what your favorite subject in school is. And you could either unmute or you could drop that in the chat.
I go?
I'm Brea. I'm a sophomore, and I don't have a favorite subject.
What grade did you say that you're in?
I'm a sophomore.
Gotcha. Okay.
Go ahead, Ramon.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, what was the thing we were answering again?
Grade, your name, grade, and favorite subject.
I'm 12th grade.
Yay.
My name is Ramon, and my favorite subject is HVAC.
Oh, cool. Okay, nice.
Who else? Trinity, would you like to go? Danielle. Armani.
Euler. You can put it in the chat too if you'd like, and I can read it off.
Yeah.
My name is Michael. I'm a junior, and my favorite subject is physics.
Cool. Nice.
And Danielle put in the chat that she's a junior and she doesn't have a favorite subject, but I know she loves photography.
Oh, that's interesting.
All right, who else? Armani, can you hear us? Or Trinity? Okay.
All righty.
So there's a neat variety in your favorite subjects too, I think is interesting. So we'll talk a little bit about that. No one said science.
Well, we have one.
My name?
Yeah, yes, we have one more. Armani Little, he is in the 11th grade and his favorite subject is biochemistry.
Oh, there we go. There's our science person. Awesome. All right.
We had to
there
be one
we
in
go.
there.
Hey, y'all forgot me. Sorry, I was gone.
Okay, so Trinity, we need your name, grade, and favorite subject.
Okay. Hi, my name is Trinity Madison. I'm a freshman, and my favorite subject would probably be. I like math. I like math. Math's kind of fun once you get the hang of it.
Nice. Very good. So
Awesome.
we're going to be talking about STEM careers in Pittsburgh in particular. And STEM, of course, stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. So I have some quick slides that we'll go through, one first about science, one about technology, one about engineering, and one about math. And then we're going to talk about pursuing a STEM career in Pittsburgh and what that means and why that's beneficial. I have some stories to tell about either myself or some people I know who work in the field. And on each slide, there will be on some of the slides, there'll be a question in green. And when you see the green question, you can start thinking about it because that's what I'll ask you to answer either by unmuting your microphone or just dropping your opinion in the chat. So I'm going to, and then at the end, we're going to talk about the summer opportunities and a new opportunity that was just announced today by our president, which is very exciting. Okay, so let me go back to I can see all of you, but I cannot see my screen. So let me minimize that. Okay,
no.
there we go. So we're going to just talk very briefly about STEM careers in Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh Technical College offers a lot of programs, both within STEM and then things that are really interesting, but maybe don't necessarily fall under STEM. So we have a welding program, we have a culinary arts program. The student who mentioned the interest in photography, we have a video production program. And so there are some opportunities if you have that, if you love hands-on or creative, there are lots of opportunities for that as well. What makes Pittsburgh Technical College unique is that we offer both associate's degree and bachelor's degree programs. And I know when I was in high school, I didn't know what those terms meant. So I put them on there to share that an associate's degree program is 2 years or less. My husband is a graduate of Pittsburgh Technical College, and he has an associate's degree, which I'll talk to you a little bit more about. And then the bachelor's degree is a 4-year program. Pittsburgh Technical College does not offer advanced degrees, but you have to start somewhere with getting a bachelor's before you're even eligible to apply for advanced degrees. And so at that point, you would be looking at universities that have advanced schooling options. So in looking at science, one of the most popular programs we have at Pittsburgh Technical College is healthcare. And there are tons of options for healthcare jobs, some of which we train for at Pittsburgh Technical College and some of which we don't. So the 15 to 21 month programs, those are the ones that we have at Pittsburgh Technical College. And my niece works for UPMC in the hiring department, which is called Human Resources. And she has a 4-year degree in psychology, and she interviews people who are interested in working at UPMC as nurses. And she said the interesting thing is most of the nurses that they hire have a 2-year degree, which is the associate's degree that you see listed there. And they make more money per year than she does with her 4-year degree. So nursing is a fantastic option for both boys and girls. And it's very high in demand in Pittsburgh. And it's a really impactful job. If you want to do a bachelor's degree, there is an option for that for nursing, but you can get hired with the 2-year degree. So that's a lot less tuition to pay. And then there are some other options like being a nutritionist. And then if you're interested in schooling past a bachelor's degree, we don't offer these, but I want to put them out there so you're thinking about them. And these are all past your bachelor's. So to be a physician's assistant, 4 years of bachelor's plus 2 years, that gets you to 6 years total. A physical therapist would be 4 years bachelor's plus 3 additional years. A registered nurse anesthetist is a job that I had never heard of until a friend of a friend pursued it. And she had to have a bachelor's degree in nursing. And then she's the nurse who's in charge of monitoring patients when they're knocked unconscious during surgery. And it's it's a really life or death situation when you're monitoring someone in that way. And that's why that requires so much schooling beyond the bachelor's in nursing. And then, of course, to become a physician, it's 4 years of bachelor's degree, 4 years of medical school, and 3 years of residency. So that gets you to 11 years. I have talked to some physician assistants and they have said they don't want to go to school for 11 years. And that's why they're going that route. And they've been quite happy with that. So looking at the next slide, looking at Pittsburgh in particular, 70% of the fastest growing occupations in Pittsburgh are in healthcare. That means 7 out of every 10 of the newest, fastest growing jobs. And so the question is, so you can make a lot of money in healthcare and it's fairly easy to get the jobs because there's so much growth. But what's a third reason why someone would want to consider a career in healthcare? What's your opinion on that? Even if it's not for you, if you say like, oh, it's not for me, but I could see why someone would pursue it because.
Oh, come on. Don't make this the first time you didn't have an opinion to voice. Rebrea in the chat said maybe it's easy to them, comes naturally to them.
Ah, that's true. That's true. I know.
Latoya said, oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's fine.
I was going to say, Latoya said to care for people.
Yeah, I think in terms of, you know, knowing you're making a difference in someone's life in a very impactful way that you can see daily. I think that's a big reason. I have some friends who are registered nurses, and they said it's a tough job emotionally at times because they see some very sick people.
Yeah.
But it's also very rewarding. So if 70% of the high growth jobs in Pittsburgh are in healthcare, what is your guess of what the other 30% of the jobs in are that are the fastest growing? Meaning, if you would graduate prepared to enter this workforce, there's so much growth, you know, you would have good luck finding a job fairly easily. So you can drop your guess in the chat.
No one has any guesses for other, you know, quickly growing, fast growing industries? Rebrea said teaching in the chat.
Oh, wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, Michael also guessed education.
That would be nice. Unfortunately, that's not the case. So I'll show you what the answer is. Whoops. There we go. 30% of the other jobs are in technology or engineering. So between healthcare, technology, and engineering, those that cover the fastest growing jobs in Pittsburgh. And I'm wondering what your guess is as to why those are jobs that are really available in Pittsburgh.
It's actually a really good question.
And I don't have a right answer on this. I don't know exactly why, but I have some educated guesses.
Well, Armani guessed in the chat, maybe they're more popular in Pittsburgh than in other places.
I think you're onto something there in that if you think about how many hospitals are in Pittsburgh, that's going to lead to a lot of healthcare jobs. And there are a lot of engineering and technology companies in Pittsburgh these days, more so even than 10 years ago. And so I think that the companies are finding Pittsburgh to be a great place to set up business. So we're going to talk next about technology and engineering, and then we're going to go on to math, and then we're going to talk about some other things. But I do want to mention, healthcare is such a booming field, but I do want to recognize it's not for everybody because I know it's not for me. I'm a very squeamish person when it comes to blood or seeing people that are sick. And so I knew even, when I went to college, some of my friends were becoming registered nurses, and I just knew it wasn't for me, but they were very happy with their decisions and, work in the field. So we're going to talk a little bit about what your choices are if you are like me and you say like, oh, well, healthcare really isn't for me. We're going to talk about some of those options. So looking next at, having trouble getting the slides to go, technology careers. These are things that, to be honest, I did not know a whole lot about before I started at Pittsburgh Technical College as a staff member. But these are very high growth careers, both Pittsburgh and nationally. And information technology refers to how computers talk to each other. And cybersecurity relates to keeping people's private information private. So for example, people do online banking, but you don't want strangers to have access to your bank account information, or your medical records or your school records. So cybersecurity is about keeping things safe in a digital environment. And our program is nationally recognized by the Department of Homeland Security. Computer programming is telling the computer what to do. So you have a language that's a computer programming language, and you tell the computer what to do by writing code. And we're going to talk about some coding opportunities that I have for this summer. And web design and development is a great field for someone who likes tech, but also enjoys design and art. And that's something that I'm pursuing myself. I'm continuing to learn web design and development. Of course, we have the 4-year degree in IT as well. So engineering careers, I know a little bit about this because my husband is a Pittsburgh Technical College graduate. Both he and I are the first generation in our families to go to college. And so he really wanted to pursue something where he knew he was going to be able to get a job and really work in the field. Interestingly enough, he's a nice guy, but he doesn't really want to work with the general public. And that's something for you to consider as well. Being an educator, I work with the general public, meaning, I'm working with all kinds of students, all the time. But he works in an office and he has clients, but it's not the same thing as working with the general public. And the general public just means you have new people coming in all of the time that you're interacting with. So my first job, for example, was scooping ice cream. And so I was working with the general public because they would come in and order ice cream and I'd scoop their ice cream cones. So he knew he did not want to do that. And he pursued a degree at Pittsburgh Technical College in computer-aided drafting. And I'm going to show you, I want to stop my screen sharing so I can show you this. This is something that my husband and his team made it work. I wish we were together in person so that I could pass this around the room. So you'll see, it's not much bigger than the palm of my hand. It's silver and it's has some metal plating on the outside of it. And I'm wondering if you have any guesses what this is. I had no idea. He brought it home and asked me the same question. Can you guess what this is?
Is it part of an Iron Man suit?
It sure looks like it, doesn't it? It has these knobs so that if it were a suit, it would attach to your body. Do we have any guesses in the chat what it is? It's kind of gross what it is. Well, I shouldn't say that. I'm squeamish about medical things.
Joint? Yeah, is it a medical device, like a hip joint or a knee or something?
Yes, you are the first person to ever guess that correctly.
Wow, Miss Carla.
No, because I know somebody that had is it a hip? Because I saw somebody get their hip replaced.
It's part of a knee.
It's a knee.
Part of a knee. And so these posts here, get
I need one of those
drilled into someone's knee. So I share this because
just one, Miss Carla.
Okay, I need both. I need two. Can you make another one? My knees are hosed. They're terrible.
And I share this because for two reasons. One is he said it took his company and about 4 other companies to make this, everybody collaborating together. His company designed it on the computer so that the machine who makes this could actually create it to the specifications that the medical healthcare company wanted. Then there was a different company that put the metal plating on it, for example. So he said 4 or 5 different companies worked together, and then he worked together with his team where he works to make this. So there were about four of them together who collaborated on this. So when your teachers ask you to do small group work, that's great practice because in the workforce, you're definitely working on teams. So I share this for the second reason is because if you are not interested in healthcare, even though it's the fastest growing field in Pittsburgh, you can still make a difference in someone's life by pursuing a STEM career. So someone like my husband, who his company makes a lot of medical equipment, he's positively impacting people and their health through his engineering work. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I'm going to go back to sharing or, can you all see the slideshow, or do I need to go back to sharing that,
You
right?
do need to go back to sharing it.
I'm not seeing on my end. Let me try again.
There it is.
Okay. And I want to do that from the current slide. Okay. So my husband's degree is a 2-year degree in computer aided drafting. So he is the engineer who draws the pictures to create the machine that's going to create the artificial knee. We also have an electrical engineering technology program, which is for someone, let's say, who has an interest in electronics, but they don't want to do a 4-year degree. They can definitely get it in the field with that. And the gentleman who's in charge of that program said companies like Duquesne Light, the electric company, they call him every spring and say, we need more workers. How many graduates do you have this spring? So that's a great field for demand as well. Okay, I'm going to move along here. For math, the focus that we have at Pittsburgh Technical College is in business. And one of the things that makes Pittsburgh Technical College unique is that the college helps each student find an internship, no matter what their major is. So our business students are working out in companies. Some of the internships are 3 months, some of them are 6 months. So it's not like other colleges where the internship is like, oh, if you find one, great, and if you don't, you don't. We recognize that an internship with a company is a great way to get actual experience. And then about half of the interns get hired into full-time jobs. So it's very common for our graduates to have full-time work lined up by the time they graduate. And so business and all of our fields are working out in the fields. So I want to talk about STEM careers in general. Last year, Pittsburgh was named the 5th best city in America for STEM careers. So if you're interested in science, technology, engineering, or math, you can go to school in Pittsburgh and find a fantastic job in Pittsburgh. You don't even need to leave the way maybe someone did 20 years ago, let's say. So the question in green is, what do you notice? So I'm going to give you some time to look over the information on the slide, and then you can unmute or drop something in the chat to tell me, what do you notice?
Just a reminder, you can put your observations in the chat as well.
Or if there's anything that surprised you.
Someone in the chat said you make more money if you pursue a STEM career.
What a difference, right? So one of the things that I noticed right away is that the minimum wage in PAs, which is probably what someone would, make it a job if they have a high school diploma or they're currently in high school. But that, of course, is not enough to pay bills, entirely. To pay bills in Pittsburgh, without worrying about being able to pay for your electricity bill, your water bill, your cell phone bill, your rent, buying groceries and so on, is $15 an hour. And so the goal, of course, is always going to be to make more than $15 an hour, because once you've made enough to pay all your bills, then you get to do fun stuff with your money. And you can go out to eat at a restaurant, or you can go on a vacation, or buy a car that's a little fancier than what you might need. And so those STEM salaries are really what makes that possible. And so it's worth thinking about in terms of having some extra money beyond just paying your bills. Do you have any?
Armani did say, I'm sorry. Armani said said in the chat that the living wage and the minimum wage is split by a $7.50 difference too.
And I find that sad. I mean, there have been some, I don't know if you all follow current events, but there's been some talk at the state capitol in Pennsylvania that, this $7.25 an hour is ridiculous. If people are working hard at a job, but not making enough to pay their bills, there's something a little bit unbalanced about that. And so there have been some people in Pennsylvania who are trying to fight to get the minimum wage up to $15 an hour. And other people, for various economic reasons, are saying that's not doable and let's compromise on $12 an hour. But I mean, even $12 an hour would be so much better than the minimum wages right now. Any other comments or questions on this? Okay, so we're going to move on. And anything else that you guys want to chime in about? Any other reasons that I didn't cover that you can think of to pursue a STEM career?
I think the versatility of the career, there's so many different fields, so many different options that, with one skill, you can go into multiple different areas. I mean, even if you go to school for nursing, you can go into teaching or research or, there's so many different areas to pursue. You can get bored and still have that same degree that go into a different area. And I think a lot of opportunities for advancement.
And that's such a good point because, my parents who are senior citizens, in their generation, it was very common for someone to have the same job their entire life and maybe work for the same company for 30 years. But nowadays, people have more flexibility. They often change careers. And so if you have that flexibility to say like, oh, I could do, one of my friends, for example, is a registered nurse, and she worked with cancer patients because that was something that was very personally meaningful to her because she had some loved ones who had cancer. And after she did that for about 5 years, she did go into research. There was a cancer study being done, and they were looking for a registered nurse to be the person who would talk to the cancer patients who were involved in the research study and interview them and collect data and so on. And so that's what that was that flexibility that she had to be able to move into that. And so you have to start somewhere. You have to get a job in something. You just want to pursue something that's going to pay you a living wage and that you enjoy and that gives you some flexibility. So if you could put yes, no, or maybe in the chat, if you are interested in a STEM career, or if you have an idea of, if you say like, it's not for me, but I would tell someone, if I had a friend who was interested in STEM, I would tell them whatever. And I'm going to stop sharing so I can hopefully see what you guys are putting in there.
Armani said yes in the chat.
Nice. So you could put yes, no, or maybe.
Looks like Kamaya said yes, Michael said yes, and Miss Carla said yes. Danielle said not really.
And I did not pursue a STEM path myself. I was an English teacher. But I think nowadays it's worth considering STEM careers for all the reasons that we looked at. Next, I want to tell you about an opportunity that was announced today by the president of Pittsburgh Technical College. We have received some special funding that is going to enable us to offer 8 scholarships a year, specifically for students who are pursuing STEM fields. So that's an $8,000 a year scholarship that's going to be available over the next couple years. And so especially those of you who are in 11th and 12th grade, if you're considering a STEM career, you might want to look into Pittsburgh Technical College to see if you might be eligible for that scholarship. So that was something that we were pleased to offer. And then the other thing that we're going to talk about is the summer camp opportunities that we have at Pittsburgh Technical College. We're starting out virtually. And all of those offerings are free. And then later in the summer, we're going to do some on-campus things, and some of those have some tuition. Depending on where you live in the city, it might be difficult for you to get to Pittsburgh Technical College because we're not there's not a direct bus from the city to the campus. You have to transfer buses. So for that reason, also, I think our virtual camp offerings are a great opportunity for students who might not live close to the campus. And Pittsburgh Technical College is located out near the airport. If you've ever been west of the city, out near the airport, that's where we're located, in kind of like it's a very quiet, relaxing campus with lots of trees and walking paths and so on.
Miss Dana, I'm sorry
yeah.
to interrupt. We had a question in the chat. Excuse me. Michael asked, dealing with film and media technically counts as technology for STEM, right? Does that, if you're going into like film tech or production or that sort of thing, would that count as a STEM career?
And I think that's a good point. And I would say yes, in the sense that our video production program is not just about, let's say, being in front of the camera or just doing the filming, but doing the sound work and the editing, which is very tech heavy. We have just rooms that are built just for the video production students to do their editing work. And so that level of expertise that comes with that, I would agree with that. That's a good point.
Okay, good. Thank you. I said yes to him, but I was like, I should probably check with the person who actually knows what they're talking about. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, sure. You're right. And then I want to, do you want me to put the website up for the camps or just drop the link in the chat?
I think we could, I think it would be nice to take a quick look at it together for sure.
Okay, let me get to that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. And can you guys see that, virtual summer camps?
We can.
Okay, so this is just the virtual options that are free. These are not the ones that are on campus. So some of you guys, so the girls let me know that you guys all fall in this age range of grades 6 through 12. And Girls Who Code is just something that's near and dear to my heart. I really enjoy working with web design and development, and this is kind of what the club deals with. So you learn how to design a web page, or how to take something that you want to share with the world and put it onto a web page. So Girls Who Code is a national organization. There are over 400,000 students who are members or who have been members. And so we're offering a version of this in the summer. We're only taking 20 girls. And the club that I'm running right now in the spring, we filled all the slots, and we had more students interested than we had slots available. So if you think that you might be interested in this, the registration for this opened just yesterday afternoon, so we don't have anyone who is signed up yet. But I have about 14 Girls Who Code club members right now. I'm going to be sharing this information with them tomorrow afternoon. And I'm guessing a number of them are going to grab some of those 20 slots. So if you think, well, gosh, I don't really know anything about coding, or I'd like to learn more about it, it's a great way to learn more about it. If you click the register link, it'll tell you more about the club and what's all involved. But in general, you don't have to have any experience. You just need a computer or a desktop or a laptop to participate. If you've done any of that fun Scratch programming in middle school or high school, where you move the blocks around, there is the option to do that. Some students are familiar with that from their middle school or high school experiences. So for their Girls Who Code Club project, they work with Scratch, and other students work with website design and development. So it's free. It's geared for students who have no experience in coding at all. Coding is just the instructions that you give to a computer to make it do something. And in this case, what we're making it do is build a website or a game for people to play, that sort of thing. The next two are about Python. And Python is a computer programming language that is very popular. It's taught at Pittsburgh Technical College. It's taught at a lot of colleges, and it's used in a lot of industries. And so we feel that it's a good way to introduce students to Python programming. So I know we have one freshman in the group, but I think a lot of you guys are a little bit too old for these. But I will say that this Python curriculum is going to be rolled out in the Pittsburgh Public Schools more and more in the future. So you might have an opportunity to take the high school version of this. The high school version is called CS1. And this is the curriculum that I use is developed by Carnegie Mellon University, and that's the same curriculum that the Pittsburgh Public Schools is using. So if you have an opportunity to take a computer programming class at your high school, you might see CS1 on there. I highly recommend it. It's going to give you a chance to see if coding is something that you enjoy or not. I know one of the students said that she enjoys math. There's a little bit of math involved, and then there's a little bit of art involved. So if you like designing things or drawing, the Python curriculum has some fun interactive parts for that too. So for you guys, for your age group, the Girls Who Code Club would be the option. Then we're going to have some most likely we're going to have some students on campus in July and August, and there's a tuition fees for those that we're still working on. So we don't have that information available, but I can send it to your club leader whenever we have that available. Any questions about the virtual summer camps? Yeah. So in the chat, I see it's really hard and to learn a new language, and it takes a lot of patience. Oh, and Rebrea said, I'm doing coding now. It's not easy. And that's true for everybody. It's one of those, I liken code. I say coding is sort of like learning to play a sport or play a musical instrument, where you just have to practice at it, and no one is good at it right off the bat. It's kind of that same idea of practice and persevere with it. So it is, it's not easy, but I find it's fun. I enjoy the challenge of it, and I enjoy the design piece of it as well.
Absolutely. And one thing I'll say, I'm so sorry again for not being able to have my camera on. I feel so silly, but my brother was a math teacher for over a decade, a high school math teacher, and he actually started getting into coding, and he fell in love with it so much that he went for a master's degree in it and is now a computer programmer. But I will also say that I am not a math person, as anybody who's ever asked me to help them with their math homework knows. I am really not a math person, but coding is one of the few things that I really think attracts a really wide variety of people, and wider than you might think. Because if you like math and logic, you'll like coding very likely. But also, even if you don't like math, but you really like problem solving, like if you really like puzzles, or you really like watching House on TV, where he's like, trying to diagnose something, there's a lot of diagnosing and figuring out, one wrong letter or punctuation mark and your whole code will not work. So, but also for the people who are more artistic, whether it's video games or it's digital art, I mean, it all has coding at its base. And especially, a lot of people will think, well, digital art, I'm just drawing on a tablet with a pen. It's like, well, no, I mean, sometimes you need to go in and code different programs to do specific things that you need. So, when you look at Pixar and you look at DreamWorks and all especially now, like in the last couple of years, since they haven't really been able to do a lot of physical or as much physical filming as they were able to before COVID, you'll notice there are a whole boatload of digital movies and shorts and TV shows coming out all over Netflix and everything. And a lot of people need to code programs to help either start or often finish and polish up a lot of the digital animations. So don't think that coding is just for people who are, really technologically savvy or have always been in love with computers. No, not at all. I'm learning it now, and if my old butt can learn it, then you can definitely learn it too. So it is, it's really fun, and it has endless applications.
And I think that, that's so true what you said about how even if someone is interested in the film industry as a career, they can find a place in the film industry with coding skills. So I do recommend that everyone take a coding class at least once just to see if it's for you or not. The nice thing in Pennsylvania is if you take a high school computer science class, it can count towards a graduation requirement for math or science.
Oh, wow.
So that's something that came out just I think in the last 2 or 3 years, because there are more computer science jobs open in Pennsylvania than there are people to fill them. So we're trying to encourage more students to pursue coding or computer programming, because that's one of those STEM jobs that is quite in demand. And Pittsburgh Technical College has a 2-year 2-year associate's degree program in computer programming. And it's the students are finding work when they graduate, definitely.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
nice. So you have, Roberta, are you in CS1 when you say you have that class? Or just computer programming in general, maybe? I teach the middle school version.
It's just computer programming.
Oh, nice. Very nice. Good for you. I think everyone should give it a try just to see if they like it or not. And if you like math or you like art or you like design or problem solving, there's a little bit something for everybody. And I will say my Girls Who Code Club members, most of them had no coding experience at all. And we had 80% of them who did the club in the fall signed up again for the spring. There's just something about, I say it makes my brain happy. There's just something about it that creativity and that problem solving, you just kind of miss it when you're not doing it. So so that's what my students found when they did the club in the fall. When I announced this in the spring, almost all of them jumped on it immediately. So if you are one of the girls in our group today and you are willing to give that a try, you might want to sign up for Girls Who Code. And I will mention that for since Roberta and some others might have some coding experience, there are more advanced projects that you can choose from. In fact, I have a Pittsburgh Public School high school student in my club right now who is not a beginner coder. And so she was able, for her project for the club, she was able to choose a more advanced option to pursue.
Cool.
So it's not just for beginners, but if you are a beginner and you've never coded before, it's a great way to start because there are projects that are designed for students who have never coded before.
Yeah, and I will say, as someone who I've been trying to learn it myself just on my computer at home, it is hard to do when you don't have someone to ask questions of. And I'm glad that my brother and I are both T-Mobile customers, because otherwise I would have destroyed his even if his unlimited plan would have been wrecked by the number of times that I called him asking questions. So it's definitely great to be able to share it with people.
And I think that brings up another point too about coding is sometimes people have an idea that, oh, I don't want to pursue computer science or computer programming because I like working with people. And if I do that, I'm just going to be sitting at a computer all day. But it's the industry has become very collaborative. We talked earlier about the benefit of practicing working with others in small groups. That is what a lot of computer programmers are doing these days, is they're doing the coding on their computer, but they're also collaborating with other people who work at their same company, and they work together as a team to solve problems and say like, oh, I want the program to do this and I'm stuck. What do you think? And so if you like that atmosphere of working together with other people in small groups, that's really the direction that computer programming is heading these days. Any other questions that you have for me or anything that you'd like to mention?
No other questions? concerns, queries?
Do you have any tuition information you can share for PTC?
I do not
Yeah.
because I mostly work with the middle school students, but I can get that to you and send it to Jeremy in an email.
Thank
That'd
you.
be wonderful. Thank you.
Mhm. And that that $8,000 STEM scholarship that was just announced today, so that would probably not be listed on there as an option yet, but you know, we're always pursuing things like that to make it possible for students to pursue a you know, an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree with hopefully not racking up a lot of student loan debt.
They hear all about it from me and Miss Carla. So
Oh, good, good. Very good. Well, thanks so much for being such a great audience. I appreciate everybody who either unmuted or put a note in the chat. I know it's sometimes tiring at the end of the day after you've been in school all day. So I really appreciated your excellent participation and your good questions and comments. So I hope you'll consider, you know, if you are a girl, the Girls Who Code offering, and then once we get the on-campus offerings available, if getting out to the campus is an option for you, you can consider that as well. We are going to start field trips again next school year. So I'll be pleased to, if you guys are interested in coming out for a field trip, I'll be pleased to talk to you about that next school year. Would be happy to host you.
Thank you so much. That's great.
yeah,
Thank
thank you so much, Miss Dana. We really appreciate it. I know cameras on might be a little much to ask, but can we have mics unmuted? Big rousing thank you for Ms. Dana for spending her Thursday with us.
Oh, I got an applause emoji. Awesome.
Well,
Very
thank you so
nice.
much, and
Thank
have a
you so
wonderful
much.
rest of your night.
Thank you. You
See
too.
ya.
Bye
Thank you
bye.
very much. Bye. So, guys.